Good evening, dear friends of Seeds of Light and everybody connected to us today from both realms of life. My name is Lia Gouveia. I'm speaking from Ashburn, Virginia, and I'm part of the Spirit Society of North Beach in Maryland. And I hope, one day you can visit us. Thanks to the technology, we are all connected here from different states and possibly country as well. I really appreciate your time. And let's start with a small reading with this book, Happy Life. I'm going to open here at random. And the message of today is on page 128, and it says, in the midst of your responsibilities, set aside some time for beauty. Get up early to witness the dawn, inebriating yourself with the strength of the light. Walk in silence through the woods and breathe the fresh air. Walk along a deserted beach and reflect on the majesty of the sea. Gaze at the stars and ask silent questions. Observe a rose in full bloom. Linger next to an innocent child. Talk with a senior citizen. Open up to the beauty in every scene and adorn yourself with it. So more than ever, we need to pay attention on the beauties of this world. Sometimes we are overwhelmed by the bad news. So we definitely need to exercise a daily gratitude and make sure we see this beauty that the Spirit Joanna de Angelis tells us. So it's the simple act of observing nature, a flower, a garden, a sea, a lake, the perfection of the animals. And since we are part of this beauty, of this nature, we are destined to beauty as well. We are still little drafts in progress. We are a work in progress, but imagine how we are going to be one day, since we are destined to perfection and beauty. So with all this little message, I would like to invite each one of you today to connect to our mentors, our individual mentors, what we call guardian angels, the ones that were assigned to us and that are here to protect us, to inspire us, and we just need to allow them to approach by opening our hearts and minds to receive their messages, their intuitions. So let's take this moment to connect to our mentors, to the mentors of our spiritist centers, to the mentors of this work, so we may be connected to them tonight or this evening, so we can understand the lessons that they are going to bring to us through the words of many workers, spirits that are part of this group of spirits that are here to spread the light and beauty and give us strength, consolation, and hope. In the name of Jesus and the spiritist spirits, we say thank you, and so be it. So tonight we are going to start with this study, with this sentence that says, it's about time. And this normally we say to someone that implies that the person, right, it's late. It's something that it should happen before. So let's say if we have planned to meet someone and then 15 minutes later the person appears, we say, oh, it's about time that you show up. So the reflection here is this time that we may be late, what we are doing with our lives. Are we really pay attention on the messages around us? Are really open to what is happening around us? It is time for what? So this is the invitation of tonight, to really think about this moment that we are all living, and open the channels to understand what we should do with the precious time that we all have, the time of this incarnation, our life, what we are doing with our life. Are really living and fulfilling the tasks we planned before incarnating here? Are we really leaving a legacy behind of us? Are we spreading some knowledge, some light around us? What we are doing with our talents? So this is the invitation today. So let me see here if I have the control. Here we have. So I start with this letter from the Apostle Paul to the Romans that says, the hour has come for you to wake up. So during his time, and we all know about Saul of Tarsus or Paul, and thanks to him, Christianity was spread so much. During the recommendations that he was giving to the churches of the time, he was already calling the followers to wake up. And up to now, some of people, and I don't want to say most of people, are still sleeping, still living a life without a meaning, without purpose, without asking themselves what they are doing here. Many people are still entangled in the illusions of this world, is still living like a zombies, kind of, on the automatism of the day-to-day activities, doing things in an automatic way without asking themselves if they really should be doing that. So the invitation here is to reflect and bring awareness to our whole lives, and see if we are ourselves awake, if our conscience is already awake, if we already know what we are doing here or what we should be doing here, who are we, and what type of contribution we can give to this material world, what the future is ahead for us. Are we working towards a better future to all of us? And here bring another letter now to the Ephesians, who says the same type of message: awake, O sleeper, rise up from the dead, and Christ will give you light. So this one is even more deeper, profound. He says, okay, not only invite us to be awake, but also tell us, rise up from the dead, and Christ will give you light. So how many of us here incarnated are living like they are dead, without light, without meaning, without purpose? And even the discarnated ones they call dead, we know that they are not really dead, they are alive, because life goes on. When our time to go arrives, only our physical bodies stays here, because they no longer serve the purpose of our spiritual path. So we leave the sick body, the old body, and we go towards a different realm of life to continue our evolutionary path uh, through the concepts of spiritism. And if we wake up to the realities of life, we can understand that nothing really dies. If we observe nature, we can see that nature always is in constant transformation. Everything is recycled. Even during winter time that we think everything is dead, in reality they are just dormant, waiting for the right conditions to bloom again. And here we have this constant life and transformation. So it's the same with us. We are constantly changing and transforming ourselves, and it's the same with our physical bodies. Right now we do have a name, a personality, a background. So this time we come here with one type of purpose and activities and tasks to fulfill. Once our time, our battery, reaches an end, then we go back to the spiritual realm and we continue our path. So it's time for all of us to open up to this reality that we are all immortal beings, that Christ or Jesus or Master or this energy or this love energy that we all need to keep living, we have to open up to receive this energy, this consolation, and realize that we are all interconnected. We are part of the same human family. We are children of the same God creator, the supreme intelligence, the creator of everything. And as a big spider net, we are all interconnected, so we need to hold hands and help one another to go towards perfection, to go towards a better and more fulfilling life. Okay, but while we're still here, like the message we saw in the beginning, we need to be in contact with the beauties of life. Life is not only in pain and struggle. It can be much better if we have eyes to see, if we have ears to hear, if we connect with people and with spirits that are going towards the same goals and directions as us. And with the same idea of Paul letters to the Romans or to the Ephesians, we have this message found in the book Life and Destiny by Leon Denis that says, again, everything connected, like the universal truths that we can find everywhere, right? It is necessary to awaken the human soul asleep by fatal rhetoric, to show it its hidden powers, to force it to become aware of itself and accomplish its glorious destinies. So this is more profound. So let's go in each sentence here and let's meditate together. So our human soul may be in a sleep state, but again, it's time to wake up, and it's not time to follow, words, but it's time to put in practice the hidden powers of our soul. What type of hidden powers he's talking? He's talking about of our mediumship faculties, our ability to console one another, our abilities to be fraternal to one another, our abilities to love one another. So it's not only our intuition or ability to see spirits or hear spirits, but also our human faculties that are not fully developed yet. We are much more than what we express currently. And Leon Denis is telling us that there is a glorious destiny for all of us. And it's the same message we find on the codification on the basic books of Allan Kardec, who says that we are immortal spirits, that we are destined to perfection, to beauty, and totally aligned with the initial message that we open at random today. So let's continue here. I would like to say that it's about time for all of us to do good with humility. When we say that Jesus is our model and guide, it's because he is the model that we can all be as human beings. We can do what he did and more, and he told us that. If we study his life, his examples, his behavior, we can see that we have a path to follow. And we can see he demonstrated humility, he demonstrated compassion, he demonstrated loyalty. You know, he was a master. He was touched by the pain and sufferings of people. He never judged anyone. You know, he was surrounded by all kinds of people. You know, so if we want to follow the same pattern, it's easy to observe his teachings and then study and try to put in practice. We know that it's not easy to do what he did, but once we have a guide to follow, then it's a matter of practicing little by little. And we all can do good in our day-to-day lives, and we all can exercise, you know, a little bit more humility by fighting our pride tendency. You know, it is okay to be proud when you accomplish things well. The problem is when we think we are superior to others, and then pride can no longer be good for us. So, and here another message inviting us to wake up. Wake up, my brothers and sisters, my friends. May the voice of the spirits touch your hearts. Be generous and charitable without ostentation, that is, do the good with humility. Let each of you tear down, little by little, the altars you have erected to pride. In a word, be true Christians, and you possess the kingdom of truth. No longer doubt God's goodness when He gives you so many proofs of it. So here I have highlighted, you know, the most important words I found in this message. Again, the invitation to wake up, to become aware, to know what we are doing and why and how. Be open to hear the voice of the spirits of our mentors. Allow these messages, these voices to touch our hearts. Let's put charity into action. Let's be generous. Let's share our blessings. You know, we all have individual talents, different types of talents. You know, it can be a smile, it can be a good word, it can be a loyal friendship. We all have things to do and to share. But we have to do this without behaving with superiority, doing good with humility, you know, fighting our tendency to be selfish, self centered, and proud. Okay? If we want to become good spiritists, if we want to be good Christians, meaning follow Christ's messages and examples, here is the guide for us to follow, you know, and also know that our Creator, it's our God. It is a mother and father who wants goodness, happiness to all of us. has that we are all equal before our Creator, and we are not destined to suffering. We are destined to happiness and goodness. So suffering comes when we insist to make the same mistakes over and over again. So pain is good because it's an alert for us. But many times, love comes, invite us once, twice, and we keep insisting. So then what love cannot do, then suffering does, because suffering is going to make deep changes in our souls and invite us to go back to the right path. So it's not a punishment. Okay, so because again, our God, our Creator, it's a father, mother, who love us, but also who educate us. And like a good parent, you always need to put limits to our kids so they know the difference between good and right, what is good for them, what is not good for them. Okay, so let's not forget that. Another message I would like to bring, it's again the concept that we are one family. And it was interesting that when I gave this study to as a suggestion to the center, I didn't have the date, and I had this image already. And if you are aware, we had on Sunday, it was Palm Sunday. I just found it interesting to have this image on the study, and you can see that this probably the same people that welcome Jesus after judge him. So we need to be careful, not to deviate from the right path. And again, be aware that we are all part of the same family. Everything that is alive, it is part of our family. So it's the whole humankind, but the whole nature. So we continue the message. We have come to prepare the way for the fulfillment of the prophecies. When the Lord comes to give a more resounding manifestation of his clemency, may the heavenly messenger find you as one great family. May your gentle and humble hearts be worth of understanding the divine word that he bring you. May the chosen one find on his path only the palm branches laid there by your return to goodness, charity, and fraternity. So this then your world will become a terrestrial paradise. So this is a message from the Gospel according to Spiritism by the Spirit Lacordaire. And again, he's talking here if we make a force to have gentle and humble hearts, if we understand we are part of the same family, if we unite, towards charity, fraternity, goodness, we are going to make this world, who is so chaotic and difficult, into a paradise. So then the beauty that we saw on the initial message is not going to be just temporary, but is going to be everywhere. But you may think, oh, but we are so far from reaching this point. Maybe, but there are already points of light in our world. We have already a lot of people that wants a better world, that are making efforts to do good. We have a lot of non-profit organizations. We have a lot of people looking to become volunteers. I think if we compare our world today, we can see that we no longer accept things that in the past was so common. So the whole world is looking for equal rights, for instance. It's looking for more opportunities. Most of people agree that we all should fight poverty, and so on and so forth. Just to give an example that, yes, maybe we still have a lot to do, but we need to start somewhere. And the invitation here is, let's us be the ones contributing in a positive way and not adding even more suffering and pain to the world. You know, we imagine if we, the same way we treat our family members, the same way we want our kids to have the best we could offer. Imagine if every family, and every person would behave the same with one another. So in this sense, Lacordaire is really right, but he's ahead of our time. But he's saying that it's possible. And Spiritism can come to tell us that there are out there in a more evolved worlds this type of reality. And if we keep progressing, we are going to be attracted to this type of worlds. That our current planet Earth is actually undergoing this period of transformation, that is transitioning, from a world of trials and expiations to a world of regeneration. So let's hope we deserve to be attracted to this world of regeneration, that you not be attracted to a even more inferior world than our planet Earth. And if for any reason we go to a less evolved place or planet, that we do that as a missionary to help develop, these areas. It's like when people that are born, for instance, in countries or places that have more education, for instance, or better organized society, and then they decide to leave to maybe serve in a country that is still in a very difficult situation. So then they become these missionaries or voluntaries on this type of place, because they already understand that we cannot be happy if everybody is not happy. We cannot live a life of ostentation and have everything when we see all the suffering around us. And let's be honest, we all suffer. If we do not lack material possessions, for instance, we may have very difficult, painful trials or diseases, for instance, or emotional pains or traumas, or losses of loved ones. So we are equal before God, and we are all equal when we actually have pain and when we are suffering. And we understand that it's just by holding hands that we can become stronger and help one another. So let's not forget that invitation to have mercy, to have compassion, because when we feel compassion in our hearts, we are going to stand up and take action and try to alleviate the pain around us. Again, here, Jesus is a model. He showed to us compassion and mercy. Here on the Gospel of John, we read, Jesus stood up and said to her, "Woman, where are they? Has no one condemned you?" She said, "No one, Lord." And Jesus said, "Neither do I condemn you. Go, and from now on sin no more." So again, Jesus never judged anyone. He gave a hand and he said, he brought the consolation, and he gave an advice: go and sin no more. So you have an opportunity to start over, to change your path. So again, Jesus or our God, they do not judge us. We are the ones that judge ourselves. We are the ones that condemn ourselves. And many times we do not forgive ourselves our past of mistakes. But we need to, if we made mistakes in the past, it's because we didn't know better. So it's time to forgive ourselves and move on. Okay, I no longer want to be this person. I'm no longer want to commit the same type of mistakes. So move on, you know. But if we do not develop this self-forgiveness, self-compassion to ourselves, you'll not be able to stand up and move and continue our path. So Jesus said he's the way, the truth, and the light. So we no longer need to be in darkness. Let's follow his message, his example, and to complement here in another letter to the Ephesians, but their evil intentions will be exposed when the light shines on them. For the light makes everything visible. This is why it said, "Awake, O sleeper, rise up from the dead, and Christ will give you light." What struck me here on this message is when we say that the light, we see the darkness when there is some light. So if we see, make analogy, meditating about the chaos in our world, right? When we see evil is still around us, it's because there is already some little lights that can expose this evil. It's not evil didn't exist before, it was hidden, it was not exposed. And now that is exposed, now that we see, now we have the ability to go and spread more light. And as we spread more light, we are going to completely overcome this shadow, this darkness, this evil. More people are in the work of love and goodness, less evil we are going to have in our world, more light and clarity to all of us. Okay? And it is through love that we are going to get there. It's why Christ is the symbol of the way, the truth, and the life. Here, another letter to the Romans, and you're going to see if each message, each slide complement one another. And do this, knowing the time that now it is high time to awake out of sleep. For now our salvation is nearer than we first believed. The night is far spent, the day is at hand. Therefore, let us cast off the works of darkness and let us put on the armor of light. You see, different messages, the same type of content. Let's cast off the works of darkness and let us put the armor of light. As we develop light in us, by exercising love, we are going to have this armor of protection. So evil will not reach us. Okay, so if you want to feel protected, be light. Okay, do not be afraid of evil, of darkness. Be light. Spread goodness. Share your good intentions and your talents with others. Here is another message that can, show again the same message over and over again. And this is from St. Francis of Assisi, another spirit that I admire a lot. All the darkness in the world cannot extinguish the light of a single candle. So let's believe on the power of light. let's be the ones lighting a candle, instead of being talking about darkness. Let's use our energy to act towards goodness, and let's have hope in our hearts. Let's not be thinking that, oh, this world has it's not possible. Let's not lose our hope in better days. Let's not lose hope in humankind. Okay. Here, if you had the book Liberation, you can see on the beginning of the book the spirit André Luiz. He mentioned about lighting a light in the darkness. And I'm going to read here. Enchanted by his discoveries involving the infinite way, accomplished after much suffering and conflict, he returns to the environs of the earth's surface to tell his former companions that beyond the little cubicles where they live, another life shines, more beautiful and intense, but which requires detailed individual improvement for the journey through their narrow passageway, which give access to sublime enlightenment. So the book in English is Liberation, and in the beginning there is the story of the little red fish, which says it's a fable, Egyptian fable, and it tells exactly the story of the little fish who through efforts were able to go through a narrow passageway, and he was able to discover a whole new world there. So this is, again, for us, there is much more than our little cubicles, much more than our current life. There is another life that shines more beautiful and intense. But for us to get there, we need to make efforts to have this individual improvement through our journey, through our life, so we'll be able to find this a way to grow, to go through this narrow passage. So it's in our hands, to make efforts to become better and to light a torch in the darkness, like André Luiz Spirit is telling us on this book. The spirits tell us to have prudence with evil, and here again we find the same type of message on the Gospel of Matthew. Behold, I am sending you out as sheep in the midst of wolves, so be wise as serpents and innocent as doves. So we cannot lose our innocence, our good hearts, but we need to be wise like the serpents. We need to have prudence. And the spirits, they always use prudence with us. Spiritism has come to shed light on a multitude of obscure points. However, it does not shed it indiscriminately. The spirits proceed in their teachings with admirable prudence. Only successively and gradually have they broached the various subjects of the doctrine. It is thus that the others will be revealed to the degree that the time comes for bringing them out of the darkness. So, more we evolve, spiritually speaking, more knowledge we are going to acquire, more light we are going to acquire. So, and the spirits, like the message says here, it's found on the Gospel according to Spiritism, they keep bringing this knowledge to us so we can have the tools to live a life of purpose and fulfillment on this life, and to share that with others. Okay, when we receive a gift, we should share with others. Do not keep, this for you only. Share the knowledge. So if we think about the spiritist codification, and we imagine like a building, so the base, the foundation of this building is the books of Allan Kardec. This is the basis, this is the foundation. And then when we know well, this knowledge, we can add more and more and more, like every floor of the building. So it's the books from the Spirit André Luiz, Emmanuel, Joana de Angelis, and etc. Okay, and they cannot contradict one another. The universal truths, they are found everywhere, not only on the Spiritist doctrine, but in other books, because when something is truth and universal, it is spread everywhere. Okay? So, but again, we need to be prudent, be careful. I mentioned that we are all children of God. And here, let's read this together. I found very beautiful. It's really a prayer. God of goodness, thank you for allowing us to come once again to endure the earthly trials destined to enable our progress. Grant us your light so that we may learn to acknowledge, love, and worship you. So we learn on the Spirit's book that there is a law of worship. And why? We all need to be able to acknowledge and worship our Creator, and know again that our Creator is good and just and merciful. Is not a father who punishes, it's a father who educates. Okay, and we should praise our Creator by loving every single creature and the whole nature, and loving our brothers and sisters, loving all humankind without distinction of colors, of gender, of nationality, or any type of prejudices. So we need to work in ourselves to get rid of our all prejudices, because it's not easy. We have been educated in different lifetimes full of prejudices, but it's about time. It is about time for us to get rid of our prejudices and see each other equally. We are not better than anybody else. So, God, by your omnipotence, enable our soul to regenerate itself in the fount of your divine teachings. Under the guidance of our guardian angel, may our intelligence develop and make it aspire to draw closer and closer to you. May the knowledge of Spiritism be the shining light that enlightens us through the choices of our life. Finally, we may learn to appreciate the full extent of your love that put us to the test in order to purify us. It's really, really beautiful. I hope we can all become workers of the Lord. And here, Luke, on the Gospel of Luke, we see, blessed is the servant who his master you find so doing when he comes. The time is near for the fulfillment of those things proclaimed for the transformation of humankind. Blessed be those who have worked in the Lord's field selflessly and with no other motive than charity. Brothers and sisters, let us work together and combine our force so that the Master may find the work accomplished at his coming. Come unto me, you who have been good servants, you who have known how to silence your jealousies and discords so that no harm would come to the work. The recompense of heaven are for those who did not ask for the recompense of earth. It is for those who do not recoil before their tasks that God will entrust the most difficult positions in the great work of regeneration through Spiritism. So this is a invitation by the Spirit of Truth in a message that it was recorded on the Gospel according to Spiritism, a message from 1862, which is so actual and so beautiful to really motivate, incentivize all of us to keep working to become better and to spread these messages around us. Not because Spiritism is better than other religions, no, but it's because it is our duty to bring the promised consoler. It's our duty to bring consolations to the ones that are suffering. And St. Francis told us in one of the messages that we can preach the gospel without even talking about the gospel. We can bring consolation without even mentioning the word spiritism or spirits. So it is the concept that we have to spread. It is the charity, which is the loving action that we need to exercise. And by exercising, we are going to purify our souls and we are going to leave a legacy of light behind us. And consequently, we are going to deserve better places. So this is the promise we all hear and we believe and trust. So let's hear another parable, like the parable of the sower. Let's be like this man in the picture. Let's spread the seeds. So here we are on the Spiritist Society Seeds of Light. So let's spread the seeds of light that are brought to us by the spirits, found on the codification, found on the messages and examples of our Master Jesus. Let's spread the seeds. Let's not worry if there are all kinds of grounds around. It's not up to us to worry about that. The good ground, you be receptive to our message, and let's just spread, okay? You not be the ones looking for the fruits, because our work is to spread the seeds. But one day, when the right conditions you come, you like, again, the example of when we see winter, that everything looks like dead, but actually is just dormant. The seeds are there in the ground. So when spring comes, here we have life coming back, and from one day to another, we see flowers, we see the birds singing, life coming back. So let's spread the seeds and let's wait for the right conditions for the soil to become receptive, and then germinate and have future fruits and flowers. Okay, so the message here that I already mentioned about St. Francis, and the idea that an era is coming to an end, that new times are ahead. We are going through a period of crisis and labor pains. The exhausted Forms of the past will fade and collapse to make room for new ones, at first vague and confusing, but which are gradually becoming more precise. Is not exactly what we are seeing in our world. A lot of confusion, crisis everywhere, distress everywhere. Everybody is struggling or and suffering one way or another. So it is a turmoil, but this is going to pass. It's temporary. The human spirit is at work everywhere under an apparent decomposition of ideas and principles, everywhere in science, in art, in philosophy, and even within religions. The attentive observer can detect the occurrence of a slow and painful gestation. On the book Life and Destiny by Leon Denis. Leon Denis lived during the time of Kardec. He found the Spirit's book. I think he was 18, so he was the continuator of Allan Kardec. We can find a few books in English. The original ones are in French. And what we read on his books, again, are so actual. This was, we can really say that it was a revelation, it was a prophecy, because we see this going right now. And to finalize this beautiful invitation, also found on the codification, for us to not forget that the spirits are here helping us, like an immense army setting out upon receiving its orders. The spirits of the Lord, who are the powers of heaven, have fanned out over the entire face of the earth. Like falling stars, they have come to illuminate the way and open the eyes of the blind. Verily, I tell you that the time has come in which all things must be established according to their true meaning, in order to dissipate the darkness, to confound the proud, and to glorify the righteous. The great voices of heaven resound like trumpets, and the choirs of angels have assembled together. Men and women, we invite you to the divine concert. May your hands take up the lyre. May your voices be as one, and like a sacred hymn, expand and vibrate from one end of the universe to the other. Men and women, brothers and sisters who we love, we are here beside you. Love one another also, and say from the bottom of your hearts, in obedience to the will of your Father who is heaven, Lord, Lord, and you shall enter the kingdom of heaven. So this beautiful message is found in the Gospel according to Spiritism, and it fulfill our hearts with hope for better days, and for hope that we are not alone, for hope that these difficult moments are going to pass and we are going to be stronger, and our world will become a beautiful place. So, with that, I would like to thank you very much for your time, for your attention. I hope these messages from the spirits brought you a lot of food for thought, inspiration to keep studying, learning, and applying these concepts in your day to day. Okay? And Jan also told me to go ahead and do a final prayer. And I think she has people in person in the center there. And if there are any questions or If you still have time for questions or for comments, I think she's going to be sharing with me. So again, I would like to invite you, each one of you, in this evening, from the people that are on the Seeds of Light, from the people that are connected to us from their homes. We are very thankful, dear Lord, for this moment together, for giving us the opportunity to study these beautiful words and messages brought to us as an inspiration, as a motivation to keep going. We hope these words can touch our hearts and minds and help us understand the real reason we are here, the purpose of our lives, and how we can become better spirits. We know that what is important is the force we make. So help us to keep going, to have the moral courage to face our imperfections and to diminish little by little by exercising more our patience, our tolerance, to open our hearts to compassion, to solidarity. Help us, dear Lord, and the good spirits, our mentors, our Master Jesus. Help us not to lose focus, not to give up. Let's hold hands and be together for a better place, a more fulfilling world with less pain and suffering. In your name, Jesus, we say thank you, and so be it.